last video, we have learned about JSX. In this video, we will see what is component. So React is a component-based library. So what is component? So if you look at the definition of component, component are independent and reusable bits of code. They serve the some purpose as JavaScript function, but work isolation and return HTML. So you can think it's like that way that component is a small piece of code that we can split our application in multiple or small pieces, okay, and each every pieces we can consider as a component. Now let me give an example. So whenever we create an application, so application might have header, footer, sidebar, and main content, right? So each of the element like header, footer, sidebar, and the main content, so this element we can consider as this all element we can consider as or component. Like header is a different component, sidebar is a different component, footer and main content, those this is the different component. So we after create this different component, we can combine together and we can create our application. So these small pieces we can consider as component. And as per the definition, you can see in React, in React, component are simple like JavaScript function. So if you look at the code in app.jsx also, you can see this is simply a JavaScript function and which is returning some HTML code. So this is called, and it is considered as a component, right? So in React, component are like JavaScript function. It can be a class also, but we will talk about function first. In React, there are two types of component actually, the functional component as well as class component. But in the series, we mostly talk about the functional component, and later point of time, we will see how we can create class component also, right? Now, let me edit our first React component. So this app component is already written inside our existing code, right? Now let me remove all the code written inside this component. So I have only kept the div class, and I have removed all the code. You can see everything is now get removed from the browser also. Now if I write here hello React, you will see this is getting displayed inside our application, right? Now so app is a component. Now if I want to create our new component, our like if I want to create some header component, footer component, then how we can create it? Now let me create a folder first, and inside that folder I will keep all my component. So I am creating a folder like is called components, and inside this components folder I will create my component. Okay, so inside this component folder first I am going to write our first component, that is header.jsx. Okay, so as per the component definition, so in React it is a simple JavaScript function. So this function and the function name should be in capitalized, like in the first character of the function name should be in uppercase. Okay, you can give it lowercase also, but it's recommended to give your component name in uppercase. Okay, so this is a simple JavaScript function, and suppose I want to return a div or some HTML content where I will return a header. Okay, so this is our first component we have created. Now let me import or let me use this component inside app.jsx. So before importing in app.jsx, I need to export it from this file. So I can use export. We can use default also. So let me use default, export default header, and inside the app.jsx I can simply import that. Let me import header from component slash header. Now if I want to use inside the app.jsx or app component, then I need to simply I can use like this way. Make sure you have closed your component when you are using it. Okay, so I can see header is getting displayed inside our app, inside our browser, and we can use our header component inside app component. Okay, now let me talk more about the component. So inside this component, inside the app component, I am using the header component. Now suppose in such point of time I want to pass some data from our app component to our header component. Suppose inside header I am just showing welcome some username. So whoever is logging to the website, I want to see their name, right? So that data I want to pass from our app component. Yes, so how we can pass it? So before, if you want to pass something from your parent component to child component, here header is a child component and app component is a parent component. Now I can pass it like this way. I want to pass some name, right? User name. So I can simply pass like this way. I can say hello let me give my name. So inside this header component I am simply passing a attribute is called name, and inside the name I am passing the value of this attribute. Okay, now how can I access it inside our header component? So in to access this properties, actually this is I am sending some properties inside the header component. So to access these properties, simply I can use here, I can take a parameter called props, and this parameter props parameter will have a attribute called name. Okay, and inside the HTML we can simply we can use the curly brackets, and inside the curly brackets we can use our any variable or any properties like this way. So if I whatever the value I have sent from the app.jsx, it is we can simply use it inside our header.js, and you can simply see it inside the browser. Okay, you can see if I change this Nandan Burman, so it will automatically gets updated inside the browser also. So this is called properties in component, like how we can send the data from one component to another component. So you can use props, you can use props, and by using the props you can pass data from one component to another component. Let me pass some more data from app component to our header component. Let me pass some like designation. So designation, or let me pass some interesting things. Okay, let me pass it is the greeting, or I can, okay, let me pass some age if I want to pass the age. So let me 28. So we can pass it like this way. As I am passing some number, we can simply pass like this way. When you are going to pass some string, you can make sure you are sending it inside the curly brackets, or you can simply send some variable also. Then no, yeah, and you can simply use that variable inside this curly brackets. Okay, now so I am sending age. Now if I want to show the age inside header component, so age, and I can use it like this way, props. Inside the props it should have a parameter called age, so you can see it is coming, right? So in this way we can pass the data from one component to another component. So properties props, you cannot change the properties inside this component, like you cannot change it. You can use like this way, you can use by using the structuring also, you can use it like inside the props we have two parameters, right? This is the name and age, and simply we can get it from props, and simply you can use it like this way. So this name should be display here and age should be displayed, and we are getting the same result. Okay, but you cannot modify it, so props mainly we use to communicate between two component. Okay, between two component. And if you want to use some local variable, that is for in that purpose we can use state. Okay, like local data, we want to update local inside the component, you want to update some local variable or local state, how you can use it. So for that we have a state. In the next video we will see how